many of you are here today because you want to do something about sexual harassment and sexual violence, and because you want to know what Me Too will look like here in Hawaii. So, Jen, I'll have you start. What are some advocacy perspectives after hearing the panelists?
I'll let the grassroots folks cover that aspect, but I wanted to say something because you never have a panel like this with actually talking about resources, and that's also what Paula wanted me to talk about. But first, Nadine, thank you and Affirm for strengthening our analysis. I think it is really important that we stop, doing our awareness and our training and our education in these silos and really recognize the lifetime spiral of violence against women. And looking at when you know that this is true, and though we try to silo it in some kind of legal fashion or some kind of various frameworks, civil, criminal, educational, settings, etc., and throw in privacy rights and everything like that, it's no wonder that it's intimidating for people to come forward. But if you can talk about it in terms of people's real pain and the fact that it can often be multiplied. By the time somebody, an adult woman comes in to see an advocate, she might have experienced 5 to 7 traumas that are related to sexual or physical violence, right? And worldwide, 1 in 3 women experience sexual or physical violence. And that's completely unacceptable. So in this frame, as far as resources, I really, really encourage people to think twice before they report, that to be able to go to somebody, both either somebody who has a clinical background, like a therapist, and I know as a part of the Me Too push here in Hawaii, that there are people that are willing to act as sort of like intermediaries and people who can help to share various messages of people who still want to be anonymous. In the educational setting, Nanea is right, there are people who are designated as confidential resources from their Title IX office, at least at UH at every single campus, and there are mental health folks who, because of their license, are not allowed to disclose what is being shared with them. And so for many survivors, they may not want to say anything ever. They just want it to stop. They want to be able to go on with their lives. And sometimes after 2 years, 3 years, 27 years, they feel angry and want justice. And so those are options shouldn't be mutually exclusive. They should be available, and that's the other thing that I would love our community to start talking about, that those don't necessarily have to happen within the employment context. We don't have a nonprofit here that just does, sort of like sex discrimination watchdogging. We don't. And that is an issue, from both a Title IX and a Title VII framework. So I think from an advocacy standpoint, that's what I say institutionally, from somebody who wants to make sure that you know your rights, you can always go to the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission or the EEOC website, so that you know what your options are if you want to report something that happens in the workplace. We already talked about the university setting. At UH, there is no deadline. You can bring up something that happened 27 years ago, because it's important for them to track pattern, right, of serial rapists, of people who are not raping, but serial predators who want to expose their genitals to dehumanize. So I think it's really important for folks to know that on an individual level, the reality is people will go to their friends or their family. So this is that moment where we have to think about bystander and what are the ways that we can all support each other in that network. So that if Gemma did want to come forward and not have to wait 27 years, she would have all of the various options that Nanea was able to consider with her loving circle of support. So that's all I'll say for now, and then I'm happy to stay after, because I want the other folks to speak if people want to know more about specific resources. And I'm also a trained advocate that can talk to you about where to go, get to the right place, employment-wise or Title IX-wise.
All right, so Gemma, can you speak next on what are the next steps for Local 5 to combat sexual harassment in the workplace?
So we represent 11,000 members in the hotel industry and healthcare and food and service. And our contract is expiring on June. And we are going to ask management to give us a panic button to prevent this sexual harassment happening. So we want to make sure that, you know, what happened to me in 27 years, I don't have to hide it from myself. And the panic button will really help our members to really just push the button and say, I'm being harassed. And I think we will make sure that the workers will have that panic button at the end of the year. We're gonna fight for it. It's kind of hard, but in Chicago, in New York, in Seattle, they already passed this panic button to have it for the workers, and it passed it through city council. And if I think if we have if we know any city council in there, I think we should help each other. It's not just for Local 5. I think its workers should have a panic button to prevent for being harassing.
Linnea, I know you went a bit into next steps for you, but if there was anything you wanted to add on what's next for you as a student and as an activist, or anything you wanted to emphasize, feel free to.
I feel that it's important for everyone to just stand up in what they believe in and support causes that they believe in as well.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Nadine, what are the next steps for you and Affirm?
Let me just add a little bit to what I said earlier, is that I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have the courage to speak up if I didn't have my sisters with me from Hawaii. And my mom and my grandma, when she told me that story, she said, "Na desgracia ak, I fell from grace." That's how we normally talk about these things. We have a sense of shame about speaking up. If through that rape, she gave birth to that child, my mother, and that violence is in my blood, and I think that is why I am a fighter today. And so I invite you to unleash your stories into the world, to join the stories of people like my grandma, like Gemma. We need to build a women's movement in Hawaii because it is lacking. This is why Affirm Hawaii is important. We are the only unapologetically feminist, activist women's organization in Hawaii. And we need a cultural change. We need to change things, not just through our story, but through activism. And we offer free gender training. We've done it at UH Manoa. The Kuleana Academy, and also the Kauai Office of the Prosecutors invited us. So thank you. So I have a list of next steps. Some of you are probably wondering, what do I do with my rage, my pain, my trauma? At Affirm, we believe in turning feminist theory into action and healing through resistance. So some of you may have heard about Betsy DeVos, and the dismantling of Title IX. So while we have some supportive individual administrators here in Hawaii, we can't trust schools not to go back to those discriminatory practices. So we need a law in place now. And we have campaigning to pass a law that would codify Title IX on the state level. Our bills are HB 2139 and SB 2353, HB 2139 and SB 2353. So tomorrow, we have a hearing at 2 p.m. at the state capitol before Rep. Nishimoto's Judiciary Committee. We need your help. We need testimony. We need to make our presence known. And we need to have co-organizers for an upcoming rally. We need K-12 students to meet with legislators with us. Please approach Kara or I after this event, or reach out to us online. Lastly, this is Affirm's commitment to you. In the words of our chairwoman, Ivy Kicho, we will do what our ancestors had done and taught us for centuries. We will get back up every time with even more seething rage. We will resist every twisted tactic they may throw at us, and we will fight with every last drop of strength we have left until genuine liberation is ours. Join us in building this movement. Visit our Instagram page, Affirm Hawaii. We also have a Facebook and a Twitter.